You think you know Cain Velasquez, the relentless heavyweight who dominated the UFC with unmatched cardio, ground and pound, and warrior spirit. But behind the brutal knockouts and championship belts lies a story that few fans fully understand. His career, which promised to cement him as one of the greatest heavyweights in MMA history, instead ended in heartbreak, tragedy, and a fight outside the cage that no one could have predicted. Stay with me until the very end, because Cain's journey is not just about fighting. It's about sacrifice, pain, and the price of being a warrior. Cain Velasquez was born in 1982 in California to a hardworking Mexican family. His father, an immigrant who crossed the border illegally in search of a better life, inspired Cain's identity and pride in his heritage. From a young age, Cain was driven by discipline and the values of perseverance. He excelled in wrestling, becoming a two-time All-American at Arizona State University. His wrestling foundation, combined with a tireless work ethic, became the blueprint for a career that changed the heavyweight division forever. Cain wasn't just a fighter. He was an unstoppable force of pressure, stamina, and resilience. When he entered the UFC in 2008, fans quickly realized he was different. Heavyweights were usually known for their size and knockout power, but Cain brought something else: pace. His ability to push opponents, never slow down, and dominate with relentless takedowns and punches earned him the reputation of a cardio machine. In 2010, he shocked the world by defeating Brock Lesnar at UFC 121, becoming the first Mexican-American to win the UFC heavyweight title. That victory wasn't just personal, it was cultural, inspiring millions of fans in Mexico and around the world. Cain was no longer just a fighter. He became a symbol of representation and pride. But glory never lasts forever in the fight game. In 2011, Cain suffered his first major setback, a devastating loss to Junior Dos Santos in just 64 seconds. Many thought his rise had ended, but Cain showed the resilience that defined his career. He came back stronger, dominating Dos Santos in their rematch, and once again proving he was the best heavyweight in the world. His trilogy with Dos Santos became legendary, with Cain displaying some of the most brutal beatdowns in UFC history. For a time, it seemed like no one could stop him. He also defeated fighters like Antonio Silva, Brock Lesnar, and Bigfoot Silva in dominant fashion, cementing his reputation as one of the most feared men in MMA. Yet the greatest opponent Cain ever faced wasn't across the octagon. It was his own body. His fighting style, which relied on constant movement, explosive wrestling, and never-ending pressure, began to take its toll. He battled injury after injury, torn rotator cuffs, knee surgeries, back problems. For years, fans eagerly awaited his return, only to see fight after fight canceled. His career became defined not just by victories, but by long absences and heartbreaking setbacks. As Cain himself admitted, his body often couldn't keep up with his warrior spirit. In 2015, Cain suffered another crushing defeat, losing his title to Fabricio Werdum in Mexico City. Fighting at high altitude, Cain's legendary cardio seemed to vanish, and he was submitted in the third round. That loss marked a turning point. Though he returned to beat Travis Brown, his momentum had been broken. More injuries followed, and in 2019, after years away from the sport, Cain made a comeback against Francis Ngannou. But it ended in disaster. Cain was knocked out in just 26 seconds. For fans, it was a shocking reminder that time and damage had caught up with their hero. For Cain, it was effectively the end of his UFC career. After leaving the UFC, Cain surprised many by stepping into the world of professional wrestling with Lucha Libre Transretroe and even WWE. While fans were excited to see him in a new spotlight, it became clear that his body was no longer capable of sustaining the grueling demands of combat sports. Behind the scenes, Cain focused on his family and his life outside of fighting. But in 2022, tragedy struck in a way no one could have imagined. Cain was arrested and charged with attempted murder after allegedly pursuing and shooting at a man accused of molesting his young relative. According to reports, Cain targeted the man's stepfather during a high-speed chase. The case shocked the MMA world. Fans, fighters, and even UFC legends rallied to Cain's side, arguing that his actions, while violent, came from a place of protecting his family. But the legal consequences were severe. He spent months in jail, denied bail multiple times, before finally being released under strict conditions. For many, it was surreal. The once great champion, now fighting his most difficult battle outside the cage. Cain's tragic story isn't just about injuries or lost fights. It's about a man whose life took turns no one could predict. He was once the unstoppable heavyweight king, admired for his discipline and relentlessness. Yet now, his name is tied not just to championships, but to court cases, injuries, and heartbreak. He himself has said that family means everything to him, and that he will always fight for them no matter the cost. That mentality, the same one that made him a champion, also led him into the darkest chapter of his life. Today, Cain Velasquez's future remains uncertain. His legacy in the octagon is undeniable, one of the greatest heavyweights ever, a fighter who redefined the division. But his post-fighting life is marked by tragedy, controversy, and the painful reality of what happens when the fight never truly ends. His story is both inspiring and heartbreaking, a reminder that even the strongest warriors are human, vulnerable to pain, mistakes, and consequences. So why did Cain Velasquez's career end in tragedy? It wasn't just the knockouts, the injuries, or the losses. It was the combination of all those battles, physical, emotional, and personal, that finally caught up with him. From a hero inside the octagon to a man struggling outside of it, Cain's journey shows us that glory and pain often walk hand in hand. And in the end, even champions must face the hardest fight of all, life itself.